Hey, everybody, welcome to Between the Cracks. I am Jen Marie, my gosh, I am gonna echo myself. Don't want to do that. I wasn't gonna do a stream today, but I decided that I can't keep making that excuse because one of the promises I made to myself when I created this channel is that I was going to also be sharing my personal journey through awakening to the fact that I'm a survivor of the troubled teen industry, which only happened to me just over 2 years ago now, and it's a roller coaster. And so today we're gonna be talking about me. I guess I'm gonna be talking about me. Anybody else that wants to come and talk with me about me, they can do that too. I haven't done that on this channel yet, but I mean, why not? Hi, Mish. I'm really happy to see you here. Um, and obviously, Davey, I'm happy to see you here as well. Hello, Lioness. So yeah, I'm going to talk about myself today. And the reason, Cosmic, hello, darling. The reason I'm going to talk, well, at least you do it to my face. I'm just saying, right? Right? Like, at least you do it to my face. Is it not echoing anymore, right? Tell me it's not echoing. Uh-oh. Okay. So I have I have been in my feelings for about 5 months now because ever since my dad, my bonus dad, whatever you want to call him, uh, got sick in November. Sounds good now. Okay, good. I I've been you know first it was just fear of him being in the hospital. Then it was fear of what exactly was going to happen, and then it became the fear of him passing, and then that reality came, and there's all kinds of family drama that goes along with it. And I'm just coming out of a really bad long financial struggle. I still don't necessarily know how to relax about that. Oh yeah, hang on, I want to do that thing. I'm going to do that thing. There we go. I've been doing that thing where I can't look at my face, because if I look at my face, I will just play with my hair the whole time and blah, blah, blah. We don't want that. Anyway, so I have been basically in panic, maybe, crisis mode for 5 months, and I'm exhausted, and I'm trying now to get back to regular life, whatever that means, but life, like living, which, before January of 2023, I didn't really do a lot of. I had periods of time, in my life where I was living and doing really exciting things and had a great job and all that. But for the most part, I've just been surviving and existing and kind of watching life go by. And I am turning 55 next month, and I'm it, weirdly enough, none of the ages have really bothered me. 40, I was super excited for 40 because I was flying into Vancouver, British Columbia to do our 7-day dry run of the revamped Lilith Fair festival, which was so much fun. It was one of the best summers of my life in 2010. And then 2020, I was very excited about turning 50. I just thought, wow, it's very liberating to turn 50. And I admit, I know this is cheesy, but I don't care. It's my life. It's my likes. It's my birthday. I wanted to have like a 1920s speakeasy, crazy flapper party. Unfortunately, we had a pandemic, as everybody knows, And instead, I got a birthday party with 3 friends at one friend's house who was a childhood friend who is a racist and said something really awful to my friend Amy, who happens to be Jewish. So we packed it up and left. So, anyways, so that was my 50th. Was like, that sucks. And but then, between finding out about the industry now, looking back on my old WordPress blogs, I've used the term trouble teen before. I never even thought about putting it in a YouTube search. I'm not a YouTube, a Google search or anything like that. And I wasn't really active on, hey Indigo, good to see you. I wasn't really focused like on YouTube or what was happening there. And most of the social media stuff I did was for my job back when I still did that. But now navigating life for me, navigating life, I have weekly trauma therapy, just to be totally upfront. I highly recommend it for anybody who is reliving trauma, a lot of which I couldn't even remember because, there's a scientific, it's not even a theory, there's a scientific fact out there that people have a tendency to, their brain like shuts down certain like horrific events. And I have a couple periods of time in my life that I just really didn't remember. And that was the transition when my parents got divorced from when my dad left us when I was 5 until I was living with my grandma when I was 6. So between 5 and 7, my memories are all jumbled up. And also I had been SA'd at 4. So I was already a mess. And then there was the period from 14 to 18 that I didn't clearly remember, because when you're in a troubled teen industry program, my programs were my first 2 programs were residential treatment centers. I did not have a drug problem then. um but and then I went to my third one was an outpatient, like a TTI school, and you went Monday through Friday, but it was still the point system and the levels, and it was 60 kids from 5 different school districts, and they were 57 boys and 3 girls, and I felt like I was wearing a meat dress and I got thrown into the lion's den. It's literally what it felt like. This little virgin, like, oh, but with a really bad attitude. And I had a really bad attitude. But these memories have been coming back, and some of them are really awful. Most of them are really awful. Something that I can say that through therapy and remembering and I guess distance from the experiences is that I can have conversations with my parents. Now, just to be clear, it's been 2 years since I found out. It's taken 2 years for my parents to accept and understand, especially my dad, that he was technically the mark. Parents are the mark in the troubled teen industry because they either have the money, like Paris Hilton's parents had the money, or they had really good insurance, like my dad. My dad was a Teamster, so he had really good insurance. Yeah, let's check this out. It infuriates me that people sent to those programs like listen to your child, maybe try traditional therapy. Yeah, and what's really sad about that is we did try traditional therapy. I started in traditional therapy when I was 11, when my dad married his second wife, because I mean, for all intents and purposes, y'all, I was taken from my mom and was living with my dad and my grandma. And my dad wasn't really a strong presence. My grandmother was in charge of everything. She was absolutely in charge, controlling. I love my grandma. I do. I appreciate what she did for me. But I didn't fit in to either one of my families. And had my mother not carried me, and had I not looked so much like my dad, I could have sworn I was like switched, because I couldn't relate to these people at all. Um, the entire reason that I ended up in the troubled teen industry program in the first place is because nobody was paying attention to me really at all until I started getting into trouble. And then once I start getting into trouble, of course everyone pays attention. It's just the wrong kind of attention. But the therapist I went to in the 2 months, it was a little like, I don't know, like 6 weeks before. So I figured it out. Excuse me, my acid reflexes. Hey, Ben, my acid reflux is acting up. Y'all, I'm sorry. Um, uh, so it was like 6 weeks when I had to move back in with my dad and his wife, and they were getting ready to separate, and the divorce is all my fault, blah blah blah. So it was 6 weeks, but this counselor lady was being paid by this hospital, Fairview Deaconess Hospital in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I actually happen to know, I did learn something on Reddit that and I remembered when a survivor reached out to me that a lot of kids from New Jersey were sent to Fairview Deaconess in Minneapolis, which I find really fascinating. But there was a lot of kids from New Jersey, and I do remember that now. Some kids from Michigan, some kids from Minnesota, and regional. I didn't spend time with the other kids. They were very judgmental. They were horrifically mean during our circle groups, and so yeah, just a little breakdown for anybody who might be in here that doesn't know any of my story. But what I wasn't going to do this stream, flat out. I'm grumpy and I'm very sore. I've been doing yard work this weekend, and I feel really good about it, but my body doesn't. Um, I I always like to listen to music, so I have my earbuds in, and I'm listening. And there's a song from John Lennon called "Mother," and for some reason, it just hit me so hard, because spending so much time with my mom, as I have been since February, taking care of her, doing stuff for her, spending time, taking her to and from the hospital. We've been talking a lot, and I realized that the song "Mother" really, and I remember it as a kid when my parents got divorced, because my mom, especially, big music fans. Oh, hang on a second. I don't want to miss what Misha said. To be fair, many parents struggle so much when being unable to help their children to the point of insanity. I was one. I just didn't know such disgusting situations could exist back then. Well, you weren't. It wasn't that you were naive. Let's just make that clear. They don't. This is important too. I almost said my stepson. When you fear for them, you will do almost anything and everything. Yes. And I'm glad in retrospect that you didn't. And that is the reason why so many of us survivors are starting to speak out. Not as many on YouTube. There is another survivor on YouTube. I probably should have been prepared to have his channel up, and I will next time. But I just really needed to talk about me. One sec. Today, I'm just feeling all the feelings. I'm feeling all the emotions Some of them are good. They do. Listen, this is important to see too. Yes. Yes, they do. That's the whole point. I mean, why wouldn't they if they're, that's how they make $24 billion a year. You know, I could emphasize the feeling desperate to help your child. It must be so debilitating for parents when all their resources don't seem to make a difference. Right. And I feel horrible for my parents. My mother didn't have a say in any of it because my dad had, hang on. My dad had custody. So she didn't. Let's see, Kaya. They lie. My grandma was told the story of a girl selling her baby for weed. My parents refinanced their home. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I see you. I see you. We hear a lot these days, right? In politics. Um, Politicians and talking heads who are all talking about, oh, we're having a population drop and there's a population crisis and there's this and there's that. And we need to have more kids and you shouldn't have we shouldn't allow termination of pregnancy in the United States, and we shouldn't allow this and we shouldn't allow that. Here's the thing. I want a government in this country to prove to me for the first time in my 55 years that they give a rat's ass about children, babies, kids, tweens, teenagers. Prove it. I don't see anything that is all it is. All I'm seeing is the repression of women and the repression of the poor. And I think that's bullshit. So when you start, you want to get rid of the Department of Education. You don't want the truth being taught in schools. And they want to make, like private schools, the schools now. And, not everybody can afford a charter school or a, or a religious school, um, and I don't understand how we can live in a country that doesn't actually teach our real history. I was a nerdy child, and I had to do it the hard way. I'd like go to the library and do the microfilms and look through encyclopedias, and I learned a lot as a kid about the history of this country. And the first troubled teen industry program started in 1912. I want to say. I'm a little tired and not sunburned, but like, you get tired if you're out in the sun a lot. But it really started picking up steam in the 70s, and it was huge in the 1980s, and it really hasn't slowed down since. And I have been, it hurt, but I'm learning it is the only way to truly find a way through the yuck. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. It does hurt. But you know what? Like I thought that was the thing. Like I talked to, to Cosmic and Davey, for a while about this. And I don't want to say that they talked me into it or they talked me out of not doing it. It was more of just like loving support and saying, you've been wanting to do this. You're probably going to be disappointed in yourself if you don't. It doesn't have to be a super long stream, but right now, today, Sunday, November. Hi. All right. Sunday, May 25th. And clearly I'm on the edge of insanity. I don't have unfortunately, I'm being kept out of this. Uh, you did. Yes, we have to. This is, and then that's why I said in return that you have to do ye tomorrow, and I will be there with you. Because I'm starting to really, I'm starting to really get back in the swing of being live and being on. Yeah, that's true. You did say you'd support no matter what. I want to get back into my channel and my mission and what I'm trying to say, but if you go to my welcome video, it's like a million years ago. No, it was like December of 23, I believe. Yeah, December of 23. And I explained what the channel was. And the channel isn't just about talking about programs, talking about current lawsuits or places closing down. Now, I mean, obviously that's going to be, I'll be doing videos, during the week, but I'm not going to be live streaming. I'm probably just going to be live streaming on my channel on Sundays at 6:30. I like this time. So I'm claiming it. And if anybody else is doing something, then that's their thing. This is my lane. This is what I know. And so here we are. And so I've been like a tornado of feelings, right? I know. November. Like, yeah, it's November. November is when I moved in here. I don't even know where it came from. Just I'm tired. Uh, but I'm very emotional and the emotions are all over the place. Like I was crying earlier just because we were watching my niece. Um I'm gonna cry again just talking about it. Watching on my TV, and then I had the iPad turned to the TV watching my niece in their company's Grand Line win the top award for the competition, and then it's their last regional competition. And obviously, I'm bummed that I couldn't go down there, but we have to make sure that somebody's always here for my mom. And my mom got okay. So my mom hurt herself yesterday, and this is a thing that I struggle with. Now, how are you? If anybody's taking care of a parent, but like it's not a full-time thing yet, how do you navigate? Listen, I'll do, between my sister and I, we'll do all the things. And then I talked to my mom today and she's like, yeah, I picked up Clay's flag holder and it fell on my shin and it started bleeding. And then I hurt my arm and I'm like, with carrying a case of Ensure. I'm like, what are you doing? Well, could you please let go a little bit and let us help you? Because every time I go there, there's more bruises and, and hang on, I'm going to do this because and then I want to get back to that comment here. Okay. I'm grateful for your willingness to hold space and share your journey. It's been 25 years, and I'm just now realizing how damaging the program was. You know what, sweetie? I see you, and it's been, well, now it was just, oh my gosh, that's another thing that I think triggered this mood was Thursday, the 22nd, was 40 years since I was admitted to my first program. Because I got the medical records from the hospital. I'm still fighting crazy bureaucracy and red tape to get the records from my second program, Alpha House in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I will keep saying this until I get a survivor from Alpha House that comes across me either on YouTube or Discord or Reddit or whatever, unsilenced, Twitter. I don't care. I'm going to keep saying it till I find a fellow survivor. There's got to be somebody out there. And because we have to speak out now that we have been given the opportunity by brave survivors who came before us and spoke out. Unfortunately, some of them aren't with us anymore because they couldn't handle the pain. I don't want to be one of those, right? Because I know that my mom is not going to live into my niece's after college adulthood, and if she meets someone and has babies or doesn't have babies or whatever, and I want to make sure that I'm there. But 40 years, like that really just like clicked something in me, and I went back and I read my records again. I love you too, Mish. I read my records again, and it's so obvious that. So I don't know how many people know that the medical industry did not believe that girls got ADD, what you call ADHD now. And I would really like to say something about that. ADD still exists, and I don't need anybody telling me that it's ADHD, because I'm not always hyper, but I'm almost always distracted. I was diagnosed in 1996. There are different ways, because you can be hyper, you can be daydreamy, you could just like, I do it, I get daydreamy, or my girls can tell you, we'll be in a conversation and you see how my eyes are. I'm just staring at nothing right now. I could do this for 10 minutes. It's also part of ADD, ADHD, whatever. Like, I guess I should explain to someone like our lioness here that I struggle with boxes. And I think that as a survivor, you're going to understand this. We're all put in these boxes, right? We're born, we're put in a gender box. Yeah. And then we get older, and then we're put in school age boxes. So that's another box. And then we're put in, like, someone like me, who by third grade, even though in third grade, 1978, girls, it was just boys, only boys, but I still ended up in special ed. Okay. There's another box. By 11, I'm in therapy. There's another box. I have divorced parents. There's another box. And the box keeps shrinking. And there's more and more boxes. And it might sound crazy or conspiracy, but it's not. If you think about it, we have managed to be, we have been micromanaged into boxes of like this size, like squished. Yes. And you know what? And that is another problem, was that I am highly intelligent. I in first grade, I tested out in 12th grade for everything but math and science. I was meant to go to special classes instead, because I started acting up. See, here we go. Survivor, no survivor. And, and that's another thing you would find out, is that so many of the kids were highly intelligent. And that's part of what they call the problem. But what I see as, had I been given the tools, had any of us with ADD, ADHD, and I'll get into the other one in a minute, if they would have realized that we could use the differences in the way that our brains worked to our advantage, and been just as successful, if not more successful, than people that had no problem learning in the traditional way that the United States teaches kids. Every single person learns different. Had we been allowed, or if kids were allowed now even to do that, I think that our world would look completely different. But they don't send us to school to better ourselves. They send us to school to teach us to be good worker bees. And we're the problem because we cannot, it's not a won't. We cannot conform because we don't fit in that box, right? So, because of all of these things and getting sent away, what do I, what do I end up doing? I end up getting in all this trouble, getting myself in a situation where I agree to go to this place at 14 years old because I had just left my house or just left my mom's house where it was very, very violent and there was a very life-changing experience that forced me to have to go back and live with my dad, and his wife didn't want me there. So we started to see this counselor. And, look, I wasn't great to my dad's second wife, and it breaks my heart, but he didn't do it on purpose. I just wanted my parents' attention, really. And I wanted my family to love me for who I was, but I was never good enough. I brought up the nickname Useless before. That was my dad's name for me. And that's how I felt. That's how I felt until probably this year. Maybe the later half of last year was the first time that I started to, I don't know. I don't want to read this. The program I was put in was very similar to my parents' interpretation and implementation of the cult LDS, aka Mormon. It made me feel crazy because I didn't want to be in the box. Right. It was also S8 at a very young age. I think it affects our brain development. Effects from abuse are used to shame. Can I tell you, one of the reasons that experience, that show that me and my 6-year-old neighbor were made to put on when I was 4, it wasn't just the act, okay? Because when you're 4 years old, you don't really realize, right? But I think that what made it worse is that for 4 years, 3-4 years after that, I would see the boys passing me down the street, whatever. I just want you to know that they were 11, 13, 14, and 14. And they would walk by me. I'm a little kid. And they would say, "Did it feel good? Did you like it?" And I'm like, "No, leave me alone." Like, it's just so gross. So it, like, it double, I feel like it double traumatized me, or extra, or whatever. Like, I had extra trauma because I was being teased about being, S8, or, yes, basically it was. This girl, looking at the, I'm going to read this. Yeah. Well, and it's funny, honestly, Misha, it's ironic. It's ironic to me that, I had so many horrible things said to me when I was a kid, including when I was a teenager, because I'm sorry, a teenager is still a child, even if you've been forcing them to raise kids since they were 6. They're still kids, right? And now, not now, but in the last couple of years that I've been talking to my parents, and they'll say, my mom would be like, "Well, you were terrible." And, I would take you to school, and you would wait for me to leave, and then you would just take off and not even go to school. You did your homework. It was really good. And then you just threw it away. and you stole money from me, and I did all these things. All of this is true. And I looked at my mom for the first time, because it's not the first time like I've heard this. I said, Mom, I was a child, and I'm not trying to hurt you, but you need to remember what was going on in the house we were living in when I was doing all those things. We were living with an abusive, alcoholic, retired Marine. Then I had a 1-year-old sister, like it wasn't, and my dad had kicked me out of the house because things were so horrible over there. So I go and live at the other terrible relationship, and why that was never taken into consideration, and why I was acting out and reacting to things and running away, I'll never understand. And then there's so much of it that I'll never understand. But, yeah, I'm really sorry to you too, Gaia. And that's what is this one? Yeah. There was one waiting. Hang on a second. Where did it go? Yeah, the rules. We did that. I said that already. Yeah. Yeah. I was a child dealing with abuse who got turned into the problem. Like I was the problem for every I was the source of every problem in the entirety of my family, you know, because I was a hot potato kid. Yeah. My parents got divorced. It was official when I was 7, but it started. My dad left home when I was 5, and then all that happened. But it just amazes me how on earth, I mean, I'm not like, you know, uh, Damien from, was it The Omen or whatever? Like, I'm not like the kid with, the 666, like, like not tattoo, but birthmark, I'm a kid. And yes, I'm screaming out for attention. And yes, I was in a really abusive situation. So I was definitely acting out, and I was definitely not going home, and I was definitely missing curfew, all the things. But again, I was a kid and I didn't deserve to be sent to an adolescent lockdown hospital that had one, two, three floors for residential treatment programs and 2 floors for psychiatric kids. And that's no. Sorry. The dogs, when they come to the door, they can get a little loud. But I mean, when somebody tells you, hang on, as young adults, when considering becoming parents, we are ready for this, all this, that is possible as parents. No, I was ready for the love, the connection, the chance to give love to a child like I never received. I had no idea. No, listen, and first of all, everybody that has kids is gonna screw them up in one way or another. That's just life. Nobody's perfect. None of us know what we're doing. See? Exactly. Yes. This is huge. This yes. I was scapegoated for everything. Everything. Um I own the things that I did, but I refuse to this day to own any of the other stuff. But I was the hot potato kid. I was thrown between family members, mom, dad, grandma, aunt, mom, dad, grandma, aunt. Like it's just so okay, let me see. What happened, is It says we're rocking at life if we would be willing to truly see ourselves with the eyes of each other. I mean, that's true. That's very true. If we could see ourselves the way the people that care for us see us, I mean, we definitely would have confidence. I can't say more confidence because I don't really know if I have a lot of confidence. I'd like to say that I do, but um yeah, no, I like me now and I love me and I want good for me. I just I realize that I'm really angry. I'm really angry that and I'm not even thinking about the 14 years prior. I'm angry that I missed 37 years of life. And I'm still, because now it's up to 40, but it's not though, because 37 years I missed because I wasn't aware that it was a widespread, abusive, coercive, controlled spin off of Synanon. And really, trace it back. It all goes back to Synanon, Chuck Diedrich. But I never asked to be in a cult. I never asked to be in a rehab. I never asked to be born. I didn't ask for the parents that I got. Funny story. I love my parents now. Adore them. We've had conversations. They are accepting this. I'm just finding that I'm about to turn 55. I live in a 1 bedroom with an office, lake cottage rental. I've never owned a home. I've never been married. I've never been close to married. I didn't have kids because it was the only way that I could figure out how to break the cycle. I wanted to be a mom. I really wanted to be a mom. But I am, yeah, breaking curses are not easy. It's, I like this. And yeah, who wants to wear white all the time? Black sheep are much sexier. I mean, it's a fact. It is an absolute fact. I have to work with these feelings that I have of resentment and and anger that I don't I get to find the information out. I get to share my story. I get to advocate for others, for other survivors. I get to be an elder in the survivor community that can save the young survivors from going 37 years, 38 years, 25 years. And so I have to find ways to reconcile my feelings. And that is why for nearly 2 years now, I have been in weekly trauma therapy. I also did something really brave and I filed for disability. I don't know if I'm going to get accepted for it or not. Trying to get an autism assessment, which is turning out to be very difficult. At first, I've had thoughts about the possibility of me being autistic, because I do show a lot of traits of autism, and the ADD. And then now there's this ADHD thing, but it's not recognized in the DSM yet. But I said to my dad last week, I'm like, I'm gonna have first of all, my dad's mad that I'm filing for disability because in his mind, he doesn't understand why I can't work. I can work. I can't keep a job in the same way I can't keep a relationship. And before these cats, I couldn't keep a pet because I couldn't keep a home. Like I couldn't finish anything. I've always been the idea girl and I never followed through on anything. I don't want to do that anymore. And I don't want to watch I don't want to watch these kids coming out of the industry, especially in this world now. I don't want to see them come out and not have elders to turn to. That's why, um, Linus, are you part of my unsilenced family? Um, I'm not sure, or the Discord, or well, the Discord is unsilenced, or the Reddit. Um, we are you know what? I love it every time you say, yeah. But I feel like, Davey, I feel like, if if Social Security approves it, um, yeah, hair, yeah, it gets okay. Well, that's cool. That's cool that that's all that you're only social media. I was just curious. I was just curious, like, where I get people from, but it doesn't matter where you came from. You're here now. Now you're in the family. Um, and it's just it's so important. It's just so important to me. And within 18 months, somehow I've managed, and without being able to be consistent, because if you look on my channel, I've had this channel since December of 2023, and I have not been consistent because it's not something that okay, it's just not something that I'm good at, but I'm getting better. Thank you. I'm really grateful and happy that you found me. I am. If you want to email me, my email's in there. It in the description of my channel, I believe. Um, I'll get distracted if I if I go try to do it myself. But if you want to email me, that's super cool. Or leave a comment after. But I'm happy to find somebody from. I'm happy for anyone who finds me because of TTI, because it has to end, and now more than ever, because even though I'm being told that this isn't true, and I'm still working on the validity of these possibilities. um when Robert Kennedy Jr. was discussing the thing about sending teens on teens and I believe, like, people in their 20s, and I don't want to be, yes, no stress, no obligation, just support. um Love you, Davy. I He was talking about these wellness camps, and the ones that they were talking about for juveniles, and what's weird is I can't find the stuff now, and I don't like it when I know that I've seen something. I know that I've seen something on YouTube, or I know that I've read an article or an op-ed, or something where he had said specifically something about teenagers, who are going through issues. Find me a kid that's not troubled, please. Especially teenagers, because hello, hormones. I'm just saying, right? Like, I mean, it's it's in our DNA going through the teenage years. Everything is changing. So of course everything's dramatic, and the nothing thing is the biggest deal in the world. Like, I just stubbed my toe, so I have to go, like, scream into my pillow. I mean, that's how teenagers are, especially teenage girls. Just saying, only because I know, because I was one. Um, but learning to live, yes, I know, I know, but no, thank you. Well, you're the one that turned me on to this, I believe, the ADHD thing, if I'm not mistaken. And I still have it up there. I've been reading about it. So I'm trying to come to terms with the fact that the last 40 years cannot be given back to me. I keep getting repressed memories, and the longer it goes on, the worse they are, because I'm getting into the really buried stuff. And it's just, ooh, it's a rough ride. And I've been overwhelmed because Thursday was the 22nd, and my lovely Misha, our lovely Misha, um, and our friend Mandy the Catsby, but they're on a plane headed to the East Coast, so they couldn't be here today. Yeah, see, exactly, exactly. And my therapist absolutely, does believe that I live with both, and it's fine. But it's funny though, because these three can tell you, I I didn't. It's not. It's going to sound really bad. It didn't matter to me. I'm dyslexic, so it didn't matter to me that if I found out that I was autistic because I was in my 50s. That's what I was telling myself. Like, who cares? Like, what's it going to change in my life? A lot. Oh, the conversation with my dad. I said, Mom talked me into filing for uh, disability, and he's like, "Why are you filing for disability? Why can't you work? Whatever." Blah. And I was just like, "Man, I really don't. I don't really know what more I can tell you, Dad. But I have the physical things, which are the fibromyalgia, the degenerative disc, the bilateral sciatica. Did I say fibro? I think I said fibro. Um, arthritis. I don't know which kind of arthritis yet. Um, I also have this thing called hypercholesterolemia. I have to take antibody shots every 2 weeks for that. I have high blood pressure because I am a stress ball. And like this guy, or my cheese, but it's buried back there. And I said, yeah, and they're going to do an autism assessment. He goes, "You're not autistic." I said, Dad, that sounds really familiar. He's, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You remember when I was diagnosed with ADD back in 1996? And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "And you remember what you said to me?" He goes, "What did I say to you?" I said, "You said to me," now I have a brother who's 18 years younger than me. So he said, "Your brother has it, I have it, but you don't have it." And this is back in 1996. "You're just looking for excuses for why you're so bad." So when he said to me, "You're not autistic," it like immediately triggered that thing in my brain. And I just looked at him and I was like, "You're right. I'm probably not autistic. Whatever, whatever, no big deal." But it did upset me. I didn't want him to know that it upset me because he's only been back in my life for like a month. So I'm not trying to, you know, rock the boat or whatever. Hang on 1 second. I want to see this. "My distrust of big establishments and agoraphobia have prevented me from an official diagnosis, but ADHD fits. It helps me understand myself and set reasonable." That's fantastic. I mean, it's not the first part. The first part. And this is a good person to be friends with, because we're working on getting her. Oh, shut up. Why do I get stupid news stuff? um, but so I've been having a difficult time scheduling an assessment for myself, but I believe that maybe the Social Security person will do that, like to push for that, because I believe that they have their doctors. But so that was my physical stuff, and then I've got the the ADD with possible autism, or what'll actually probably end up being ADHD, because everything that I read. And I also have complex PTSD because of my experiences in the troubled teen industry. Because I went to a residential treatment center 2 times, and I was not an addict. Was I experimenting? Was I numbing myself? Yes, absolutely. Was I addicted to anything? No. I might have been addicted to the cigarettes by then, because I was smoking regularly at 14 for a couple of years. So I probably was addicted to the cigarettes. But really, you're going to send your kid? No. So, I was just the denier. And so I have a really hard time. Like, I'm working on this, taking in the good and letting go of the bad, because I don't, I'm trying to figure out how to word this, because I don't want to compare myself to a person who was sent to prison for something that they didn't do, because prison, so I'll leave that there, because I love Dr. Gabramonte. Um, I just, and I don't want to say like prisoner of war or whatever, but it really, it's, it's like, well, a torture hospital, really. I mean, they mentally, verbally, emotionally, and physically tortured us. And there's nothing worse for a teenage girl who's always alone to be locked away by herself and kept separate from the rest of the kids in the group. Um, Not letting her do school, not letting me do school, and making me sit on the edge of the bench at the front desk, with my sign around my neck that said no male contact. I wasn't allowed to smile. I had to wear my pajamas every day. I couldn't go to the groups, which was fine with me, because the circle was so horrible, and everybody screaming the worst things at you and being called a liar 25 times every single day. It was really, really fun for me. It's probably one of the reasons that I don't lie. I have lied in my adult life, but I don't lie anymore. But man, I'm just here to say that the troubled teen industry trauma stays with you, just like any trauma, like war trauma, like childhood abuse trauma. Like, well, that is childhood abuse trauma. It's a very serious thing. Many survivors now are being diagnosed with complex PTSD, um, because some of the trauma was masked as love. It wasn't. It's that tough love bullshit. And not even to this day, if those words come out of someone's mouth, I just cringe, and I'm just like, that's a double negative and an oxymoron, and fuck you. I don't want to hear that. It's not tough love. Scarlet letter of other people's assumptions, judgments, projections, and yeah, and it is bullshit. And I have been that, even in our online communities. Shame-based mind control. And they wonder why we're not cured. You know why we're not cured? I found a really interesting way, just my brain, my brain works how it works. And I came up with a really good way to explain it. It's like we were sent to basic training, only it lasted a long time. Technically, my first program was 28 days, but then I was immediately sent to another program. But it's like going to, let's say, the Marines basic training. Okay. Anybody that knows about the military, has been in the military, is a military family member, child of military. Imagine, if you will, okay, imagine being sent at a very young age to basic training. And they always start basic training by breaking you down. Yeah. And then they build you up as a team. What the troubled teen industry does is it tears you apart and it throws you back out in the world. That's what it does. And that's why we're not cured. We're the ones that have to like pick up the pieces. But what they don't understand is that they've made such powerful survivors that we're out here changing the freaking world, not just the United States, because it is still happening all over the world, mainly here in the States. But you can't do anything to scare us anymore because we've been through it all. I feel like I could be like an action hero if I was in better shape. But I was being funny. But, nothing is going to keep me from doing this except the squishy thing in here. And I'm training the squishy thing in my skull to see me how others see me. And it's not just, the three of you that are here, or my friends through Unsilenced, or my friends through 1111 Media Impact, which really those two go together, or any of the survivor groups, telling me that I'm making a difference and that I'm affecting people's lives. Okay, that's all I wanted to do was reach one survivor. I have reached so many that some of the survivors that I've reached didn't know they were survivors until I started talking about it. They started putting things together from their childhood. And then, as you can see, some of my friends here, they, are parents that almost sent their kids away, but luckily, no, not changing, making, but also changing in states, but making laws, federal laws, but changing laws and holding states accountable for I'm so sorry. Um, this is one of my things that happens. Um, Changing policy, state policies, state laws, even just enacting some. Obviously our biggest battle actually turned out not to be the federal government, but the state of Utah. And I think that our lioness knows all about that, and why. And there's more troubled teen industry programs in Utah than everywhere else in the country. The state of Utah is the most lenient with restrictions or policies, and they don't enforce them. And they also get kickbacks from the umbrella companies that own these programs. So that's where I am today. I'm still evolving. I'm still moving forward, and I'm still motivated. I've just right now I'm feeling a little beaten down because life has been lifing me really, really hard. Not necessarily because I don't how what do I call it? My trauma, I guess. So many people say that for so many things, but I mean, obviously, everyday life isn't as easy for me to do as it is for somebody who can handle like a routine or do all the adult things. Maybe not all the adult things, but I mean, I yes, I know, babe, and I'm really glad that you did. And now look what you're a part of. So you're a part of this now. So, you know, welcome to the party, pal. Um, but I want to say, because I'm going to wrap this up, it's just over an hour, and I kind of want to keep these simple. Like they say, keep it simple, stupid. Hang on a second. Oh my gosh. Okay, I know about this. My program, Lifeline for Youth, was rebranded every time it was closed due to abuse. Now it's turning into another company, same staff and procedures. Yes. So there are so many of these. And right now, where it's happening the most is Utah, Missouri, and North Carolina. They're rebranding these programs that have been shut down uh, over and over and over. And they tried to do that with Trails Carolina, and amazingly enough, they were like, "No, no, you are never reopening again." But I I I I am going to continue with this momentum, and I have several friends to thank for that momentum in bringing me back to my mission. I won't call it my purpose because it's my mission. My purpose is to live. That's my purpose. My purpose in life is to actually live it for a change. And I'm working on it. I am doing that more and more and more. What? Oh, you just saw that? Yeah, I did that. I did that a couple weeks ago. Just kind of silently put it in there, and we get better as we practice. And thank you. I'm glad that you like it. So yeah, I feel thank you guys for supporting me in going through with the stream anyways. I really love and appreciate you. Lioness of Gaia, welcome my new friend. And I see you, Survivor. Let's stay in touch. I'm going to wrap things up for today and have a nice mellow evening. But I know I'm really glad to. But there are other programs. We've still got to go after their other programs. It's just that one. Um, but we'll get to them. So all I can say is thank you. I love you. I'm ready for the next phase of fighting, and let's take down the troubled teen industry. And lastly, and by the way, Lioness of Gaia, you probably haven't seen this. I end every one of my streams with a simple request, and that is please be kind to one person today and try to do that every day. And I feel like the more of us that do that, then the better our world is going to be, and that we can actually see each other rather than, you know, scowling at each other. So, everybody, fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Make sure that you're subscribed, like, share it if you want to, whatever. I know I'm really bad at this, so I don't want to hear anything. I love you guys. I mean it. And here is to a good outcome this week. Fingers crossed.